Greetings and welcome to episode 4 of Lesbian Training for Men. The name of this episode is Crosshairs. I knew sooner or later I would bring in information from my brother, who is an extraordinary man and has served his country in so many ways and still does. What I've noticed about my brother in at least the last 10 years and have thought about him is that he is a systems guy through and through. It seems like whenever I've asked him for information or an opinion on something, that it's usually a conversation at first, at least, about systems. And then once the floor plans have been laid and or the fundamental bases have been covered, then there is some time for discussing nuances, contingencies, or even fragments. This is especially true when talking to him about survival. You know, the end of the world kind of stuff and natural disasters and man-made disasters. He has been so emphatic throughout the years about teaching people of all stripes, especially his own children, about what to do in the event of small and large catastrophes. What I admire about this is that it seems that thinking this way not only discourages the idea that we are victims, but augments the possibility of being effective in our own front lines, which we all are the first responders to ourselves and then to the family around us and people that we know. But I think it's really important to understand that if we do not become the first responder to ourselves, just as the analogy of the mask over your own face on the plane and, before you help anybody else, even your own children, you've got to put that on, because if you don't, then you are unavailable to assist anyone else. And what I would say is that in order to be effective in actually serving the world, that to perpetuate the idea of that we are victims and we are people that need to examine the victimhood and think about it, this is, to me, not a priority. And I would think that, the thing I've learned from my brother about systems is that this does not factor into what initially needs to be addressed, which is survival. And to ensure that if you do want to examine it further later, that you are actually there to do it. I would also add that what I've gotten as a nuance to my brother's wonderful example of being a systems guy is the awareness of perhaps how not to find myself dealing with something that I could have perhaps avoided altogether. We can call this what we'd like. Anywhere from not being aware, being ignorant about your surroundings, not noticing the guy in the car that's following you slowly with the window half down at night, to bravado instead of bravery and showing off in a sense, to picking a fight. And when I say picking a fight, I don't just mean on the playground or in a bar or even in the Whole Foods parking lot trying to get a parking spot. What I mean is the picking of a fight in the way of being available to fighting without any modification or attention to what that might cost, and is it really our place to go looking for those kinds of fights in areas of personal conflict, differences of opinion, division that has been so widespread in our country, and the victimizing of other people by fighting their battles for them, so to speak. We live in a world now where it is not any longer a place where you can have an opinion, have a thought, and it be you, the human, having an opinion and thought. No, it is now predominantly a situation where everything is so inflamed that having an opinion and expressing it or a thought leads way you, the human, having an opinion and thought. You, the human, having an opinion and thought, to you being labeled as your opinion. You become your opinion and thought. This lockdown of the philosophical and spiritual expression of the human is appalling. However, it is good to understand that it does exist, and that if we are to continue the human race in any way that is liberated, that we are actually made from and are, then it is high time that we understand the difference between victimizing ourselves and labeling things as attacks on us and being proactive about not getting in the crosshairs of that which would have us for lunch. This is the responsibility and the privilege of being able to direct your life in a way that is respectful of others and yet protective first and foremost of your own. The tip of the day is to understand where things are around you, but more importantly, understand where you are in them. In this way, we become more aware of the crosshairs that do exist, but even more importantly, how not to place ourselves within them.